Hello everyone. Good evening. Good evening. So let's start the session for today. First of all, let's revise the last couple of results which we have done for the center mass and the moment of inertia. Right. So for the case of the cone distribution, for the case of a cone distribution, we have seen that the center mass for the case of a cone distribution. So which kind of the cone we are talking about? So let's say it is supposed to be the hollow cone, right? So if it is supposed to be a hollow cone, so if it is a hollow cone, in that case, the two results simultaneously I'm talking to you, that is supposed to be the center mass result as well as a moment of inertia result. So the center mass for this is going to be lying towards the base because a more mass is supposed to be over there, and from here it is going to lie at a distance of h by 3. It's a hollow. You can also say it is supposed to be a shell. It's a conical shell, right? So over here h by 3, and of course from the vertex, that center mass is going to be at 2h upon 3. That will be the location of the COM for this. And about this axis, which is definitely passing to the center mass, so that's a centroidal axis over there. And as per we talk about this particular axis, so the moment of inertia for this is supposed to be equal to mr square upon 2. That's the moment of inertia for this, for the case of the hollow cone, right? Hollow, that is a conical shell, right? And then we have the condition for a solid, right? That's for the cone, standard cone. So that's for the standard cone. That means it is supposed to be the solid cone. That is for the volumetric distribution. In that case, when we are first of all looking at a COM, the COM is once again closer to the base. That's not an issue for us. Reason is well known to us because for the case of the center mass must lie closer to the heavier distribution. So it is definitely closer to the heavier distribution. And this time it lies at a distance of h by 4 from the base and 3h by 4 from the vertex, right? 3h by 4 from the vertex. And since it is COM, and so this is an axis which is passing through this. So the moment of inertia about this centroidal axis, that stands as equal to 3 upon 10 of mr square. That's a value for the moment of inertia for the case of the solid cone, right? That's the solid cone. Okay. Now, see, we have so many objects for which the moment of inertia has been decided. Well, let's take a quick revision for that. Let's say for the case of a ring, we have seen. For the case of a disk, we have seen. Then for the case of a hollow cylinder, hollow cylinder means it's a cylindrical shell, right? Then for a solid cylinder, and then for the case of a hollow sphere, so a thin spherical shell, right? Hollow sphere will be also a thin spherical shell, and then for the solid sphere, and then we have for the case of the hollow cone. Just now we have revised, and then we have the solid cone, right? And then all of them come under a common parameter that all of them carry a mass of m and the radius equal to r, the same mass and the same radius. In that case, the ring has the moment of inertia as equal to mr square, and so does a hollow cylinder, has the same moment of inertia. And out of this, all the arrangements, they have the maximum moment of inertia. And this all the values are about the centroidal axis. And when we are talking about the case of the solid sphere, we get this value as 2 upon 5 mr square. That's equal to 0.4 of mr square. Right? So till these objects are classified as rolling objects. So out of those rolling objects which can roll, that means they can rotate and translate easily. And so for those rolling objects, this solid sphere moment of inertia stands minimum. And of course, when we are looking at the other results, the solid cone, that is 3 upon 10 mr square, that's 0.3 mr square. But a solid cone does not classify under a rolling object, and therefore we are not considering it to be minimum of the rolling object. These are all rolling objects in which the solid sphere is having a minimum moment of inertia. And when you're talking about other objects, so the disk and the solid cylinder, disk and solid cylinder. So disk and solid cylinder, both of them share the same value, and that's half of mr square. That means that is 0.5 mr square, and of course this value also, that is 0.5 mr square, same value. Talking about a case of the hollow sphere. So hollow sphere is 2/3 mr square, and that's 0.67 mr square. We have technically seen that how those particular values come into Fourier and how they are obtained via integration. Right. So here are some of the standard results. Of course, we have other results for the case of the cone, which we have discussed so generously. So let's proceed further. Another important result over there, where we have a plate here. It's a triangular plate, and this triangular plate, this is the complete triangular plate. And for this, about the base axis, we need to calculate the moment of inertia. That is about the base axis. We need to calculate this, right? So what I have done is I have assumed a strip over here. So strip over here. This is at a distance of y from the base. So that's my strip. Right? That's the strip at a distance of y from the base. While the mass of this particular plate is supposed to be m. So m is the mass of the plate. Right? And the height of this plate is given as h, and we need to rotate this about the base. That's the base axis. So how do I evaluate the moment of inertia for this? That will not be difficult for me much. See, this distance will come out to be as h minus of y. And then if this is b, I assume this distance as x. And then use the similarity of the two triangles. That's ADE and ABC. Correct? That's ADE and ABC. And using that, I can write the ratio of the sides. So that's h minus y upon h. H minus y upon h as x upon b. So that's x upon b. From this, I get the value for this x. So x from there, that becomes b upon h and into h minus of y. That's the value for x from there, right? Now once you get a value for the x, I can find the area of this strip. How come? This is y. So this small length is taken as a dy. So the area of the strip, dA, will be equal to x into dy. That's the area of the strip, where x we have calculated as b upon h and into h minus y into dy. Once I'm through with this area, so I can use sigma, because it's an area element, as equal to total mass upon total area. So what is the total area? Half into base into height. So that's half into b into h is equal to dm upon dA, this area. So that's b upon h into h minus y dy. From where I get the value for the dm, in which this b gets cancelled out. So this result of the dm, that becomes m, this 2 goes up, 2m, and h square into h minus y into dy. So I'm able to get a value for the dm, the mass of this strip over there. Once it is done, the perpendicular distance of this strip from this axis is how much? Y. So I can write up the moment of inertia for this. So the moment of inertia for this strip will become equal to all the particles of the strip are at a distance of the y from here. So that's simple as a dm into y square. So the overall moment of inertia will be by integrating this function. So dm becomes twice of m upon h square into h minus y dy into y square, and the limits is in y. So that's from 0 to h, all the particles from 0 to h. And that is about this base axis. It's not the center mass axis. That's a base axis about which we are calculating the moment of inertia. Let's evaluate this. That is twice of m upon h square into hy square. So that will be h into y cube upon 3 minus y cube dy. So y4 upon 4, that's 0 to h. That's twice of m upon h square. That is h placing h4 upon 3 minus h4 upon 4. That will be 1, 4 minus 3, 1 upon 12. So that is twice of m into h square into h power 4 upon 12. This h square gets cancelled. That takes square of the dimensional behavior. So the moment of inertia for the base axis works upon as equal to mh square upon 6. That's a result for the case of the moment of inertia for a sheet or a triangular plate about the base axis. Right? That's a result which we need to keep it with ourselves for a certain kind of questions. Of course, now all the questions which you have done previous hand did not require this particular result, but now it may be required. So we have done this particular result as mh square by 6. Where to use it? So I'm using this in a couple of distributions right now. I will be using this in a square distribution and a rectangular distribution. So I have a square distribution with me, right? Of the mass m and the length L. Of course, each other side is equal to L, or in this it is A, right? And now I can select many axes and in many axes. So currently I'm interested in this axis. That is which axis? That is supposed to be a diagonal axis. So I'm interested in this diagonal axis for this particular square. In this, it's mentioned as a side length. I'm just rechecking it as L. Right. So that's the side length of the square. That is supposed to be L. So I need to calculate a moment of inertia about this axis. How do I do? So it looks like into two triangles, or two separate triangles. This is one triangle. And for the triangle, this axis, which is there, this one, this axis, this is supposed to be the base axis. That's a base axis. And similarly, I have the second triangle also with me, the second triangle of that. So that second triangle is this one. That's the second triangle. And that's identical. Both of them are identical, both of them. And once again, the same axis for this is once again the base, right? So it's pretty clear that the mass of this will be m by 2 and the mass of this will be m by 2. And then the property that the diagonals of the square intersect at 90 degree. Using that particular property, when I'm going to connect DB over here, I'm going to connect DB over here. So this will be perpendicular. And so this is going to be that perpendicular. And so this is going to behave as H. This is going to behave as what? H. So the moment of inertia about the base of a triangular plate, it's a triangular plate, right? Of course, that's a square plate, but this is a triangular plate, is mh square by 6, but the mass is m by 2. The height is h. So that's m by 2, h square by 6. That's for this triangular plate, but this axis also serves as the base axis for this plate also, and for that also, this serves as the h. If this is it, this is h, same. This is also the perpendicular distance, and this mass is also m by 2. And this distance is once again h. So that's once again m by 2 into h square by 6. So that's the moment of inertia about the diagonal of this particular square distribution. That's a square plate over here. It's a plate, right? It's a square plate, and the moment of inertia overall works as equal to mh square upon 6. That's the value. Adding this up, that's mh square by 6. Correct? And now we need to find out the value for h, and that's quite simple. That's a half of the diagonal, or simple. That is L, and this angle is 45. So that becomes L sine 45. So that becomes L upon root. That's the value for that h. So hence that becomes m by 6 and into L by root 2 square. So the moment of inertia works about as ml square upon 12 as a result for the moment of inertia about a diagonal. Which diagonal? Any of the diagonal. Any of the diagonal. Now see, this one, this axis, that is a BD, right? We calculated about a AC. We check about a BD also. So it will be exactly the same two halves. When I'm writing the moment of inertia about AD in this, or about the BD in this, that is AC and BD. So it is coming out to be exactly the same. That is equal to ml square upon 12. That's the value. It's coming out to be same about these two axes, and they are mutually perpendicular. Oh, if they are mutually perpendicular, that reminds me of a third axis, which is this one. What is this axis? That is a cross axis. Cross means what? That's perpendicular to the plane. So we're talking about an axis which is perpendicular to the plane. In that case, how do we get a moment of inertia? That is by using the perpendicular axis theorem. So what is axis? That's the z axis. It is in an xy plane. So I should be writing Iz as equal to Ix plus of Iy. Now, what is Ix and Iy? They are supposed to be two axes in the plane which are mutually perpendicular. So these two axes, that is AC and BD, currently can be treated as an x and y axis. So this is x and this can be treated as y. The reason is very simple. The reason because they are mutually perpendicular. So this becomes a diameter axis. No, that's a diagonal axis. You can say diameter also. So diagonal axis and plus the diagonal axis, that becomes equal to Iz. But Iz is supposed to be the centroidal axis because it is perpendicular to the plane outside, like this over here, while these two are in the plane, right? So this gives me IC. What is IC? The centroidal axis. That becomes equal to twice of ID. And ID, that's the diameter, is how much? Ml square by 12, or the diagonal is how much? Ml square by 12. So IC, that becomes twice of this. That's ml square upon 6. That's about the centroidal axis. Which axis? A centroidal axis. Now another fun activity in this, that suppose for this square plate, it's a square plate once again. It's not a frame, right? It's a completely frame filled with the material. That means it's a complete plate. So for this particular plate, let me select another axis. Another axis means I'm going to select the axis like this one. What is this axis? This axis can be termed as a median axis. It's dividing this into exactly two halves. And so this will be another median. So this is another median. So in that case, these are two mutually perpendicular. Now you can say, sir, this is x-axis. I can say, of course, this is x prime. This is y prime. These are another two mutually perpendicular axes. And the third one, that is supposed to be this x-axis, which means not x. That is a perpendicular axis. So how can I relate them? I can relate them as this axis, that is a centroidal, is equal to Ix prime and plus Iy prime. Once again, using the perpendicular axis theorem. Now Ix prime and Iy prime must have the same moment of inertia because both of them are medians right now. So that's equal to twice of the moment of inertia about any median, either this or either this. That's equal to IC. IC we have calculated. That comes ml square by 6. So the moment of inertia about is median. Works upon as how much? Ml square upon 12. How much? That is ml square upon 12. That's coming exactly the same what we have calculated for the diagonal. So what is median also, we are getting exactly the same. And for the fun fact, if we are using in this square plate any axis, repeating, any axis which is passing through the center, like this. Any axis which is passing through the center, and select another axis which is perpendicular to this. So another axis which is perpendicular to this, right? Any other axis. It's not necessarily a median. It is not necessarily a diagonal, but these are definitely two perpendicular axes. Okay, any two perpendicular axes. Let's say that is something as in first axis, and this is second axis. Both of them. And if you see that this portion and this portion have the equal areas, this portion and this portion, correct? And further, pay attention about this axis, this portion and this portion have the identical areas. Identical areas. That means whatever is going to be the moment of inertia about I1 is going to be about I2, and these are two random axes but a conditional behavior, and both of them are mutually perpendicular, and another, both of them are going to lie in the same plane. So I can leisurely apply the perpendicular axis theorem and create this axis that is a plane perpendicular over here, and so that I1 plus I2, that should be once again equal to IC. This one, that's the centroidal axis. But I1 and I2 should have the same moment of inertia because of the distribution about them is going to be identical. And so that's twice of this moment of inertia, which what I'm writing that I. Now that I axis over there is any axis passing to the center mass. I1 is passing to center mass. I2 is passing to center mass. Diagonal passing through center mass. This one passing through COM. This one passing through COM. This one passing through COM. That's a center. That's a center. So any axis which is passing through that center, that's COM over there, is equal to IC. That's a centroidal axis. So moment of inertia about this particular COM axis is coming as IC upon 2. And IC is once again ml square by 6. So that's once again as ml square by 12. This makes me understand if you have any axis in the plane, in the same plane of the square and passing through the center, it has an identical moment of inertia and equal to ml square by 12, but that works only for the case of a square, right? But that's only for the case of the square. Good result. And so we mentioned that for any axis, that is COM axis, for the case of the square, right, and lying in the same plane, that's in the same plane. Same plane means that's the same plane of the square, right? So the moment of inertia about any such axis is supposed to be equal to ml square upon 12. That remains a fact with us after deriving the condition. So many things congregated into one article, and we are able to realize the fact is a fun fact that all of the axes, any of the axes in fact, passing to the center will have the identical moment of inertia. In the case of the square and not a frame, it's a plate. It's a square plate, not a frame. Frame questions we have done earlier. Moving on to the next one. So this is a kind of a question which is based upon the previous one. You can solve this and send me the answer on the WhatsApp. This is a square plate once again. It's mentioned clearly. It's a square plate. The mass m is supposed to be there and the length is L. Find the moment of inertia of the plate about axis in the plane of the plate passing to one of the vertex. The axis is in the plane. It's in this particular plane, right? So please solve it and give me the answer. Right? So please solve it and give me the answer. We need to find a moment of inertia about the given axis, and the given axis, as you can see, is supposed to be lying in the plane. So I need to expect an answer from you. Right? It's a square plate, and that's an axis, and that axis is supposed to be in the plane. That's in the plane axis. You can utilize the result which I have seen. You can send me the answer on the WhatsApp. I'm waiting for that. Okay. About this particular axis. Meanwhile, I'm also drafting another question for you. Expecting an answer from you. Waiting for the answer from you. I think I should be getting some answer. Yes. Oh, I didn't check it. Yes, I have received one correct answer. No, this is wrong. This is 7 by 12 ml square is wrong answer. Ml square, it's not a rod, it's not ml square by 3. It cannot be ml square by 3. Ml square by 12 is not the correct answer. Ml square by 12 has to be through the center. Through the center. We don't, you can check the value for the sine 15. You can check the value for the sine 15. You can check the value for the cos 15, but it will not be required. 15-degree sine value or cos value will not be required. 7 by 24 will not be the answer. 7 by 24 is not the answer. Okay, so let me give it a try. I've received 3-4 correct answers. I'm going to mention that. 3 by 7 will not be the answer. So I've received some correct answers. I've received 4 or 5 correct answers now. Okay, so let me try it now with you. So this is an center of it. That's the center of this particular plate. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to construct an axis which is parallel to this axis. An axis which is parallel to this axis. So if I construct an axis which is parallel to this axis, this will be that axis. That is parallel to this. Of course, it is not a diagonal axis or any other axis, but I don't care. Because I need to utilize this feature that any axis which is passing through the center, any axis which is passing to the center of a square plate and in the same plane will be having the moment of inertia ml square by 12. I'm going to utilize this particular feature. And second, that I'm selecting this axis parallel to this reason because I intend to apply the parallel axis theorem also for achieving my result, right? So over here, the moment of inertia is supposed to be ml square by 12. I know the fact because of the just now did concept, and then I can just shift it and complete my question. For that, I require the perpendicular distance, and there you can make a mistake, which you must not, that if you're dropping the perpendicular here, so this will be the perpendicular, and that will not be passing through the diagonal. That does not challenge the fact that the diagonals of the square meet at 90. Of course, what a point. So this perpendicular which you are dropping between these two lines are supposed to be not coinciding with the diagonal, and that's where the question gets this value. Okay, and then of course from here the question is done. If you don't commit this mistake, so the question is over. Then you construct this line. That's of course a diagonal line. That's a diagonal line, and you know the diagonal value. This side value. This side value is how much? Half of the diagonal. Half of the diagonal. That is L upon root 2. That's half of the diagonal. And then comes the angle utility. So since this line is parallel to this, and this angle is how much? 45. So this complete angle, this complete angle, how much? 45 plus 15, 60. That's how this angle is getting used. And if it is 60, so this angle over here, that works out to be how much? 60. And if it works out to be 60, and now this is the hypotenuse side, this is 60, so you get this perpendicular. So the value for this h, it comes out to be L by root 2 and into sine 60. What is sine 60? Root 3 upon 2. That's the value for h. And once you get the value for h, now I apply the parallel axis theorem. So about this axis, which is my interest, I naught, let's say. So I naught becomes equal to ml square by 12. That's a COM axis. That's a COM axis. And plus, so I'm allowed to use the parallel axis theorem because the condition of the parallel axis theorem is to use the center mass axis, and plus ml's plus this value. This is mh square. That's it. Finish it out. That becomes ml square by 12 and plus m, and square of it, that becomes 3l square upon 8. Root 3 square to root 2 square. And that's 3 by 8 plus 1 upon 12. That gives me 11 upon 24. But that's 11 upon 24 ml square. I received many answers for that. So that's absolutely correct as a question, and the result is over and done. So it's not to be memorized as a result because this is just one of a problem, and it's a good problem. So test our skills. I can modify this for any other angle which is known to me. I could have also taken this axis here like this, right? So that to select anything or to make it just a standard axis, correct? But that fits the 45 plus that. So it fits the standard angle, and therefore this question is good. Okay, let's move ahead. And this one, the question which I was planning to do. So let me do that question also for you. Before that, I am going to, because you will be able to answer that instantly. So I'm just changing the question. And over there, I have a rectangular plate. And this rectangular plate has the dimensions A and B, and the mass is M, of course. M is the mass. And this is a base axis. Base axis or diagonal? Oh, it's the base of a triangle. So that's a hint. That's the base of the triangle for the both the triangles. But it's also a diagonal for the case of a rectangle. It's not a square, it's a rectangle. And we wish to calculate the moment of inertia about a base. So can you please quickly send me the answer for the moment of inertia about a base? Please, I'm waiting. The moment of inertia about this particular base. Quick. Quick. The moment of inertia about a base. About a base. So it's, see, you need to keep this fact alive in the last problem. So that the diagonals of the square meet at 90, we know the fact. But this time it's not a square. So the diagonals of this are not going to meet at 90. So keep up with that fact. To keep up with that particular fact, I think you will be devising a way then how to get a value for h. Basically, that's all the question will be. Because if we're going to drop the perpendicular here and to drop the perpendicular here, so these are the values for the h. The mass of this is going to be how much? M by 2. The mass of this is going to be how much? M upon 2. So what will be the moment of inertia about a base equal to? That is m by 2 into h square by 6 and plus m by 2 into h square by 6. That's going to be equal to mh square by 6. Working is working. And so the question is only based upon to get the value for the h, and that I think you are proficient enough to get the answer, right? So please get me the value for the h. If you get a value for h, then the question is over. If you get a value for the h, the question is over. Still not received. Get a value for the h, and the question stands over. Meanwhile, I'm also designing the next one. Yes, the result. Yes, correct. M is missing. Yes, now the second answer M is there. M. Right? M is missing in your answer, right? Okay, so M has to be there, otherwise it's a result. I think we have done it, cracked it. 4 or 5 students have cracked it, and that's quite easy. It was not like anything which was categorizing itself as a rocket science. It was quite an easy thing that we need to check in the area of this triangle of which this will be the hypotenuse side. So this side is B and this side is A. So this becomes root of A square plus B square. This complete one, right? So the area of this triangle, that becomes half into base. So the base of this becomes as a root of A square plus B square and into height. So height is h, and this is the area of this triangle, this one, and area of this triangle exactly the same. Two identical symmetrical. Okay, so multiply it by 2, and that becomes the area of what? That becomes the area of the rectangle. The area of the rectangle is how much? That's equal to A into B. And using this, I can get a value for the h. So the value for h from there, that becomes AB upon root of A square and plus B square. And then I place this value over here. And so this works as m upon 6 and into h square. So that's A square B square upon A square plus B square. That works as my result. Very easy question, easily done, and we're happy that the triangular plate result which we derived is coming as a utility. Otherwise, it would have been wasted. The result would have been wasted. We did not let it waste, and we required that a result in these kind of problems. This one is another standard question, standard reason because it has come in the previous examination, and therefore it becomes a standard and come in the premier IIT examination. But that does not qualify in the recent times to be a question of the IIT because we have cracked it out. Now we have cracked it out that the question says that this axis is having a moment of inertia I naught, right? And so about another axis, it's a square plate, It's a square plate. As you can see, of course, it's a square plate. And another axis is there, which is inclined to the given axis. About this, the question says the moment of inertia is I naught, right? Another axis which is inclined to this at an angle of theta, trying to confuse you, at an angle of theta, what will be the moment of inertia? And the options are I naught sine theta, I naught cos theta, I naught sine square theta, and I naught. Repeating again, I naught sine theta, I naught cos theta. Are you going to resolve it? Is it a vector, my dear? Moment of inertia is a scalar, first of all. So don't ever try that. Don't try that. It's a scalar quantity. So don't try resolving that. So they were hitting. The options were going to hit about that particular psychology of you. I naught sine theta, I naught cos theta, because you will be charmingly hitting the idea. Oh, this component is cos. But in the case of the rod, we did it came out to be ml square by 3 sine square alpha. So maybe sine square theta option is there. So they will be hitting upon your psychology, but you will be missing the plot that we had done the concept that any axis passing to the center and in the plane of a square plate is going to have the same moment of inertia. And therefore I becomes equal to how much? I naught is supposed to be your correct answer. I did not give you the time to solve this, right? Because I just wanted to speak out that this result is in line with what I gave you the concept altogether in the today's lecture, right? So the moment of inertia, any axis would happen here, any axis, this axis or any other axis, any random axis, all of them will carry the same moment of inertia, that is I naught. And that, of course, another point, another key point, it must be a uniform distributed square. If it is not a uniformly distributed square, then these kind of things go awry, they go bad, right? So we got a point. Let's move forward. And so this is a rectangular project now. So strip is there, so I'm needing to integrate. I will not. And I have 4 axes with me. This is one axis. What is this axis? AD. I need to find a moment of inertia about the AD. Correct? And for this side is B and this side is D. Right? These are the sides, B and D. Correct? So I need to find a moment of inertia about the AD. And then I need to find a moment of inertia about CD axis. What is the CD axis? This one. This axis. So about the CD. I need to find it out. So how do I find it out? I can of course use a strip. I can use a strip from here and integrate this over there like this. And as I will be moving this strip with respect to CD, so limits will come from 0 to D, from 0 to D. And if I need to integrate about this axis, so I will be taking a vertical strip and integrate a vertical strip from this end to this end. So limits will be from 0 to B. So it will also look like a system of rods, a system of thin rods, and many of them over here, like a system of rods here, and calculating the net moment of inertia about this. And so I'm utilizing directly the result for the rods and about the given axis. Which axis? So can I not use it like this? That if this is an axis, so I can have infinite such rods arranged like this. See this. Infinite such rods arranged like this. And that is going to complete that plate like this. Infinite such rods. Correct? And since this axis is passing to the end of the each rod, this axis is passing to the end of the each rod. So for an axis passing to the end of the each rod, what is the moment of inertia? ml square by 3. You remember that? You do. It is ml square by 3. So that will be dml square by 3, dml square by 3. If you integrate, what do you get? ml square by 3. But then you need to check the length as this much, and this question is given as a d. And therefore, the moment of inertia about this axis, that which axis? That is CD axis, that works upon as how much? That is ml square by 3, where L over here is d, so that's md square by 3. And that is enough for us to also think about that what will be the moment of inertia about AD. So if it is AD, if this was this axis, So I'll be selecting the rods like this, many of them, and all of them are of the length how much in this b, and this axis. So for it, dm l square by 3, dm l square by 3, dm l square by 3, because for this is an end axis. So integral dm l square by 3, so ml square by 3, but l over here is b. Length of the each rod is b. So the moment of inertia becomes how much? That is mb square by 3. Simple. And then, what about this axis? Cross through this. Cross through these means perpendicular to this plane. So one is this axis and one is this axis, and they are mutually perpendicular. And this one is an axis perpendicular to the plane. So who is our friend? Perpendicular axis theorem. So what is axis? That is I'm writing as cross here. What it is an end axis but perpendicular to the plane. That should be equal to as sum of the moment of inertia about these two axes. So that's IAD and plus ICD. So that works as m by 3 and into b square and plus d square. That works in my result. And on a similar note, my friends, on a similar note, I have two more axes with me, and that I am looking at this axis. This one axis. What is this axis? This one. Can I say this is a median axis kind of? Or let's say YY axis over here. What about a moment of inertia about this axis? Now, if I create a figure for this axis, that is a YY axis, I have these rods like this. Imagining this as a system of the rods like this. So what about all these rods? Oh, these are perpendicular to this, of course. And if the length of them is L, currently the length of them is given as B, but the axis is passing to the center of each rod. So if the axis is passing to the center of each rod, what's the moment of inertia? ml square by 12. You do remember, because the limits changes, minus L by 2 to plus L by 2. So it becomes ml square by 12. And over here, L is how much? B. And therefore about this axis, that's a YY axis. I'll be getting the result as equal to ml square by 12, where L is equal to B. That means you have to check the perpendicular length of the axis. Axis, perpendicular length, mb square by 12. And you are wise enough, if I'm selecting this axis, that's an XX axis passing through here. XX axis passing from here. So what will be the moment of inertia? Now you'll be using the rods like this, perpendicular to this. And for that, this will be the perpendicular axis. And so it should be once again ml square by 12. But the length over here will be how much? D. So that should be equal to m d square upon 12. So just using our brains to check the kind of the distribution which are going to help us in solving the question. And then comes the jackpot axis. Which is this axis? That's the centroidal axis. Which one? Oh, plane perpendicular, dot or cross. Cross I have used for this axis, dot perpendicular to the plane outside. That is IC. So what is IC? This is IYY plus IXX. Adding these two. See, we do remember the condition of the perpendicular axis theorem that all the three axes must be passing through a single point. Two of them should be in the same plane. The third perpendicular to the plane, and the axis perpendicular to the plane has a more moment of inertia because that comes from the addition. And therefore, this value, that is m upon 12 and into b square and plus of d square, that works on my result. So there are questions in questions, right? And we are able to do so. आगे बढ़ते हैं, moving ahead. Yes, it's a letter H over here. It's a letter H. It's made up of 3 rods. Now it's not a plate question. Now it's a frame question. It's a frame. It's a frame of 3 rods, identical rods, that each one of them is having the mass m, length L, mass m, length L, mass m, length L. We need to find the moment of inertia about this axis. This axis. This is an axis. Let's say mention YY. And what will be the moment of inertia about this? Can you please give me the answer for that? Please give me the answer for that. That's an easy bit. Easy bit. In this mannerism, you can basically calculate for any English alphabet. Let's say for O about the axis, M, just imagine N, A, B, anything. But more probably for V you can calculate, Vikas. Okay? V you can, A you can calculate your initials. S will be difficult, but if we imagine that to be S to be carved out like a semicircle, maybe, right? So maybe that helps. So every letter you can generate that particular question. You can have a full exercise of it from A to Z, creating the letters and selecting the different axes and calculate the moment of inertia over there, right? So it's a very cool question. It's a very easy question, and you find this in many applications in the future also. And therefore, I've given you this particular question. So I've received a correct result. Correct result. Correct. Right. Correct. So Pranay, Gursad, Hemang, Devansh. So we are getting the correct result. Correct results. So over here about the YY axis, I should have the moment of inertia first of all for this one. So that's Harusted. It is absolutely correct that for this axis it will be zero because it is going to behave as a body axis for this rod. So that is perfectly zero for the first one. For the second one, for the second rod, it is an end axis. It's an end axis. So that will work as equal to ml square by 3 and plus. Now for this one, shifted to this. So for this one shifted to this, you can use a trick. You can use a trick that imagine an axis here. Imagine an axis here. But this axis is a body axis for this rod. Body axis for this rod. So this will be having a zero moment of inertia about this axis. But we required a result about a YY axis. So what do? We applied a parallel axis theorem. Parallel axis theorem, right? So if we applied a parallel axis theorem, this is a perpendicular distance. How much? L. So if I shift this result, it will become 0 plus ml square. That's it. That will be the moment of inertia of this with respect to this. Another way of doing it and thinking is simple, that each of the particle here on this, each of the particle here on this will be at the identical distance from this axis, that is L. So dm L square, dm L square, dm L square, so that becomes ml square. And that basically is also in the question. And if I add it up, that gives me 4 upon 3 ml square. So pretty easy out question over there. Pretty easy out question over there. And you can like actually trouble ourselves by creating this kind of a question. That's a fun question basically. It's a fun question, right? It's not like we get these kind of questions every day. It's just a fun kind of a question where it looks like a window grill. More looks like a waffle to me right now. Well prepared waffle. Or it's like a window grill maybe, which has the window panes over there. So many of them. How many of them? 10 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 5 vertical bars, 5 horizontal bars. Each of them are identical. Mass M, length L. So about this axis, just imagine you're opening the window about this axis. So looks a pretty practical kind of a diagram for us, right? And if you fit in the glass in this, oh, so additional moment of inertia for a square plate. For a square plate, right? Addition. So imagine there is a no glass fitted, but in the future you can also get a question where you have a glass fitted over there. And if you have glass fitted over there, you will have to calculate first of all for his rods and then for that particular square plate. That will be easy for the square plate, right? You just not did it for the rectangular plate. Square plate is anyway easier. So right now there is no glass fitted in this window. You don't have the money for that. We are just happening this with the help of these rods. So we can very quickly do it. Very quickly do it. So let's say how do we do it? About this particular YY axis, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them are having this axis as end axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that becomes 5 into ml square by 3. So 5 axes are gone. 5 are gone. So 5 rods are gone. 5 का moment of inertia आ गया. So because this behaves as an end axis, then comes the sixth one. Sixth one, this one. This one is 0. This one is 0. Reason very simple, because it's a body axis for this rod, body axis for this rod. Next one. Next, this is the sixth rod. No, that's the seventh rod. Sixth rod is gone. Seventh rod, this one. Every particle on this rod, every particle in this rod is at a distance of how much? This one. How much is this distance? L by 4? Well, L by 4, L by 4, L by 4, L by 4. So every particle in this axis is at a distance of L by 4. The moment of inertia will be m into L by 4 whole square. Correct? Easy. And then for this one, the every particle on this axis, this rod, this particular rod, this is the eighth rod, will have a perpendicular distance how much? L by 2 of all the particles over here. So the moment of inertia becomes how much? M into L by 2 whole square. Right? That is easier now. That is easier. And then for ninth rod, all the particles will have the perpendicular distance how much? That becomes 3L by 4. That's 3L by 4. So plus M into 3L by 4 whole square. That's pretty happening. This is happening. And for the last one, the 10th one, this perpendicular distance is how much? L. So that's plus of ml square. And I think just adding this, I'm going to get the result. And that's pretty easily done. Does not eat up my 15 or 10 minutes or something like that. And the result is coming out to be pretty easily. Okay, done. So this is how we deal with the system of rods. We do remember we are dealing with the article of the system of particles, and that's great that we first of all have created a rod, which itself is a system of point particles, and then we have an assembly of the rods to generate more good-looking figures, more utility figures, must I say. It's a more utility figure with us. So the result is done. We calculated the moment of inertia. You can try for A, V, and that. Right? You can have a question like this. You have a rod which is bent from the center and makes the initial of victory, V or Vikas, or like that. So we bend this rod from the center, and how much you want to bend, that's your take on it. And there is an axis passing through this, and this angle is supposed to be theta, and you can calculate the moment of inertia of this. This is a pretty cool question which can be developed by you and shared with your friends itself, and you can be a good question makers and answer makers also. You can try that. I'm not solving that. This one, please solve it. It's a multiple option, so you get easy, when you get options over there in the front of you. Can you please get this? This is based upon a fact which I discussed in the last lecture, based upon the result which I discussed in the last lecture. So you have followed the last lecture, you will be able to do this so easily. If you have followed the last lecture, did not follow the last lecture, go and watch it, because then this question is going to be easy only when you have seen the last lecture. I'm waiting for the answer for this. The previous answer I have received is 65 by 12. The last one I did not calculate that, left it out. That was 65 by 12 ml square. The previous one. Maybe you can cross check that whether it was 65 by 12. You can cross check that particular value. I have received that answer, so I passed out to you. Okay. So this one, please, waiting for this one. I have received one option. Rachit, that's the wrong option. Please try again. Rachit, that's not happening. That's the wrong answer. I'm not mentioning what option was there, Rachit, but that's the wrong option. Okay, Devansh, that's a correct option for you. Devansh has did correct. Rachit has done wrong. Arustar has done correct. Shivam is a wrong answer. Try again. Arustar, your answer is correct. Rachit is rectifying the answer. मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि कुछ बच्चे पहले क्वेश्चन ही पढ़ रहे हैं मेरे ख्याल से. Arushi, retry the answer, Arushi. Retry. Yes, Rachit. Now it's happening. Okay. See, the moment of inertia of the solid cylinder about an axis parallel to the length. So that means this is the length of it. And we have an axis which is parallel to the length and passing to the center. So that's the center. That becomes a centroidal axis. And about a centroidal axis, the moment of inertia, let's say I1, we know that that's equal to mr square upon 2. It's a solid cylinder. That's the moment of inertia. And then it says about an axis perpendicular to the length and passing to the center. So the second axis is this one. So that's I2. And I2 is how much? So we do remember that we did it in this particular mannerism. Then we assumed a disk over here like this. It's a disk, and we said we will crush it like this, and this will be the diameter of that disk, and therefore you will get mr square by 4. Diameter is centroidal by 2. For the disk, centroidal is mr square by 2. Half of that, mr square by 4. And also, if you crush it like this, it becomes a rod, thin rod, and there's an axis perpendicular to it, and from the center, so ml square by 12. So that's the moment of inertia. I think the memories are coming back. Okay, fine, great. And the question says both of them are same. You have designed it in a mannerism that both of them are same. So I1 becomes equal to I2, and so I get the result as mr square by 2 as equal to mr square upon 4 and plus ml square upon 12. That works for me. So mr square by 2 minus mr square by 4 will be mr square upon 4, and that's equal to ml square upon 12. So m and m cancel, and this cancels. So I think I got my result. Radius to length, so that's r square upon l square. That works 1 upon 3, and therefore r by l, that becomes 1 upon root 3. And that works as an answer. The C part, I received quite a bit of an answer, so that is the correct one. 1 upon root 3. And see how amazing this is. And if you know the results, if you have no clue about the results, then you might solve the question, but you will have to do integration. And then this question goes out of bound, or it might affect any other question. So results are so important. I can just pass on with a list. Ring का इतना होता है, disk का इतना होता है, solid sphere का इतना होता है, उसका इतना होता है, and that's all, and wash off. But then the questions are not going to come. There was a centroidal about a sphere. That's not a kind of a question which is going to come. The next one, please. Try this out. We have a square. Then he said today class is obsessed with sphere, right? Or square. It's obsessed with a square. There's a square of the side B. So the side length of the square is given as B, and we have 4 spheres. They are not tiny, so they have moment of inertia. They are 4 spheres. And spheres mean what? So you did not prescribe hollow or solid. I said initially the days are going to come when the question will be challenging your skills of the vocab, that when it is written sphere, so what do you judge by a sphere? A sphere by default is a solid. If it is hollow, it must mention hollow, or it must say spherical shell. What a point, right? So the sphere means a solid sphere. Good one. So each of the radius, again, the mass number placed with the centers on the 4 corners. Calculate the moment of inertia about any diagonal. So any diagonal. So any diagonal. So this diagonal, anything which works for you. This diagonal, this one. So you need to find a moment of inertia about this. Please try it out. It's a pretty simple one. It's a simple one. It's a simple one. Okay. Simple one. Options are not there, so you take time. When the options are not there, you have to text it. You're not very well versed in writing in the text. Okay, so over here, this one, this axis, see, it's a sphere. It's a sphere. So any axis, it's a sphere, right? So any axis, once again, it's a sphere. So any axis is basically termed like a diameter axis to this. Any axis of it. So and that passing to the center mass of it. So the moment of inertia stands at 2 by 5 mr square for any such axis. So this is also passing to the diameter of it for this particular sphere. So the moment of inertia is going to stand at how much? 2 by 5 mr square. And the mass of this is given as m, small m of course. And the radius is a, so 2 by 5 m square. So for this one and for this one, they are lying, this axis is through them. So I have 2 by 5 ma square and plus 2 by 5 ma square for them. That's pretty fine. And then for the rest of the two, you have to be little more brainy. That I will imagine an axis here like this. Imagine an axis over here, which will be still a diameter axis for that sphere, but is also parallel to this axis, and it's a square. So diagonals of the square intersect at 90, And so I can apply the parallel axis theorem. My intention is to calculate about this particular axis. Let me mention this particular axis as any PQ axis. So that's about a PQ axis. For this sphere it is done. This sphere it is done. I'm doing it for this sphere. So about this one, it will be once again as 2 by 5 of ma square, because once again it is supposed to be the diameter axis for the sphere, and plus the parallel axis theorem. So that is plus 2 by 5 ma square and plus m into perpendicular distance. This is the perpendicular distance, b by root 2. So that's b upon root 2 whole square. Correct? So this becomes the result for this one. And I think for the fourth and the last sphere, again, it's going to work exactly same way, because this is again going to come out to be the same distance, that is b by root 2. And again, you can apply the parallel axis theorem. So the result is same, because these are identical distance away and identical spheres, so multiplied by 2. So I think that works upon the answer. So that should be 2 into 2, 4, plus 2, 6, plus 2, 8. So that's 8 upon 5 of ma square. And plus from here, that's mb square by 2 into 2. So that's plus mb square. So I think that works upon as my result about this axis PQ. Hopefully that solves my question over here. Right up. So another one. Oh, this is numerical and options. So I think you can give it a try and get answer. Please give it a try and give it an answer. Yes, that was correct. That was correct. Yes, Devansh, it was correct. Yes, it was correct. Yes, Harustat, it was correct. Yes, Gursahib, it was correct. Now we have a disc of uniform thickness and radius 50 centimeter is made up of two zones. Okay. The central zone of the radius 20 centimeter is made of the metal and has a mass of 4 kg. The outer zone is of the wood and has a mass of 3 kg. The moment of inertia of the disc about a transverse axis. We'll say what is a transverse axis. Transverse means literally perpendicular. It means perpendicular. So it's the moment of inertia of the disc about a perpendicular axis through the center. So let's format the figure for this. Meanwhile, you're solving and going to give me the answer. So this is the first part of the disc. Right, and this has another zone. So let me create another zone. So this is another zone of it. Right, this one. So the second zone, second part over here. Right, two parts, and this is an axis. Just passing through the center of it. Looks like the figure now. And then I have the radii for it. The radii for this one, that's given as 20 centimeter. So that's 0.2 meters, 0.2 meter. And the mass of this is given as 4 kg. And then we have the outer radius. Outer radius as how much? Mass 3 kg and 50 centimeter. So this complete is 0.5. That's 0.5, and this mass is supposed to be 3 kg. I think that's a very simple question. I think you would have got the answer for that. It's a very simple question. There's a question tried to confuse you in the transverse language and in area maybe. In the area maybe. Just try a bit hard on calculation. There is some, I think, a little mistake in the calculation. Retry it. Both the answer which I have received is like, I feel that there is some problem in the calculation. So do try again. Okay, that's fine. That is fine. Okay, so the moment of inertia for a disk is supposed to be equal to, for a disk it is supposed to be mr square upon 2. And so I'm going to write the moment of inertia for this axis, that is IC, as I1 plus I2. First of all, for this disk, it is simple. It is mr square by 2. So we can calculate that particular mass and the radii for it. And so that is mr square by 2. So the mass is how much? 4. And let me write this mass as m1. This is m1. And so that is m1 into r1 square upon 2. This is for the inner one. And for the outer one is something which we have done earlier, like this. What like this? This is an annular disk. This is an annular disk. Annular disk. Do you remember the annular disk? Where this is the inside radius R1 and this is the outside radius R2. That's an annular disk. So it's a addition of two disks where one of them is a complete disk, this one, and the second one is an annular disk. What is the moment of inertia of the annular disk? You do remember it was higher moment of inertia, and the expression was half into the mass of this. Mass of this I am writing as m2. So that is m2 into r1 square plus of r2 square. That's the moment of inertia. And for this, you need to go back to the lecture and check upon it. How did we get that particular result? Right? It was done through the idea of the cavity. That is the result. Explained to you. It is for the cylinder also. It is the same, and in the wheels also we use the same. So this is how you are going to get the result, and then you can substitute the values and get the answer. It will not be a big day for that. That is half into m1. That is given as 3 kg. The radius r1 0.2. So into 0.2 square and plus half into m2. So the m2 is given as 4 kg. No, inner one is 4. Sorry, the inner one is 4. Outer one is 3. So half into 3 into r1 square plus r2 square. So 0.2 square and 0.5 square. So 0.2 square and plus 0.5 square. That will be it. And once you calculate this, I think I got the answers correctly. That was C part is the answer for that. That we work upon as 0.515. So an interesting question, because it actually checks your language transfers, and also that you have been done with the, yes, Arushi is correct. Yes, Kunal, it is correct. Rachit, the values are 0.50, 0.575, 0.515 and 0.45, of which the correct answer is 0.515, Rachit. Okay. Right now, let's do one more question. That's a conceptual kind of a question, and I think we all will be able to answer. Try your luck on this. We have two metallic discs having the same mass and the same thickness, but at different densities. The moment of inertia about the geometrical axis will be more for which kind of a disk? Which one? They have the same mass and the same thickness, but at different densities. Same mass, same thickness, different densities. Disk. So I1 upon I2 is equal to half of m1 r1 square upon half of m2 r2 square. The options are with the moment of inertia will be more of the lower density disk, higher density disk. It will be same for them, or we are so nice people, we will not like to comment anything. And the option is there, nothing can be said about it. So can we think about it? We have to convert this into density. So the masses have to be converted into density. Correct? Into density and check upon into density. What do you have to convert? Mass is same. So radius has to be converted. So we have half mr square as a moment of inertia. So I need to convert a radius. I have the mass as equal to volume into density. Volume into density. So that is equal to pi r square as the area into thickness as a volume and into the density as rho. So from here I have m as a proportional to r square t and rho. Correct? mr square t and rho. Of which as you can see that we have to pick up r square. So the r square is supposed to be proportional to m upon t rho, but t is same, so that is m upon rho. So m is same because it has the same mass and the same thickness, so it's proportional to simply 1 upon rho. That's r square. Right, so this is moment of inertia is proportional to half mr square. That proportional to half mr square and r square proportional to 1 upon rho. So hence I can write this particular relation as proportional to 1 upon rho, because this is constant, so that's proportional to 1 upon rho. So that becomes simple. That since I is simply proportional to 1 upon rho, because the mass is constant, thickness is constant, density is different. So it is going to depend upon density, which means I1 upon I2 is supposed to be equal to rho 2 upon rho 1. The inverse behavior. So lower is the density and higher is the moment of inertia. So I think A part is going to be my answer for the question. Right up, I think some of the students are supposed to write a paper. So I have to just wind up with the class so that they can just correct answers. I've got all the answers. All of you have sent the answers correct. So I will be signing off for right now because you have your write your paper. You have your, I think, some other subject paper right now, and I think that portal might not close. So please write up the paper. Okay. So I will signing off for right now. We'll be coming up tomorrow once again. Okay. So bye for now. Bye for now. Keep on doing the questions. I'll be sending the questions on the MOI today itself. Today itself, MOI. So kindly practice that particular questions from the module also.